Don McLean and Primetime. Now, the last time my next guest was here, he was joined in the studio by Squeeze singer Glenn Tilbrook. Afterwards, Steve Farrell, who just happened to be a huge Squeeze fan, had quite a night living it up at Glenn's gig. More on that a little bit later on, but first he spent the past few months putting together a new album commemorating the Second World War. Home Front was launched earlier this month, and Steve is here in the studio. Good to see you. How's life treating you? Everything all right?
Yeah, you too. Yeah, it's been a bit hectic.
Bit mad?
But that's how I like it, because when you're not doing anything, time just seems to drag. But when you're busy, time goes fast.
And I'm getting to this, I don't know if it's been age, I'm getting to a stage now where I don't like things set in concrete and planned too much. I like things to be a little bit more random. Are you the same? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, random can be good, just on the spur of the moment kind of stuff, rather than long-term plans. But I think sometimes there is room that you've got to have long-term plans.
Yeah, I suppose if you're putting an album together, I'd rather suspect
deadlines.
Yeah. Well, what about the big gig then with Glenn Tilbrook then? Was that the Art Centre, wasn't it?
That was, Norwich Arts Centre. Absolutely surreal experience. It was after we got off the show, we got chatting downstairs, and he asked if I wanted to play a song with him that night at his gig.
Oh my goodness.
And it was sort of, whoa, and I looked a bit shocked, and he said, oh, no pressure, you don't have to. And I looked shocked because, no, I really want to. And he sort of said, which song? And I said, let's do Up the Junction. So he sort of said, come to my tour bus and we'll run through it before the show. So sitting there on his tour bus playing Up the Junction, singing with Glenn Tilbrook was, maybe the most surreal and highest moment of my life.
Didn't he park up near the big Toys R Us?
Yes, he was. I saw it there.
I saw it there the next morning. I thought, is he allowed to park there? I'm not sure whether he's allowed to.
Stealing electricity and stuff from some unfortunate person.
I saw the power cable. I thought that had all been arranged. I didn't know we'd dropping him in it.
I don't know. It might have been.
I didn't realise we were dropping him in it, actually. But it was all right, was it? You doing the gig? Was it? You enjoyed that?
He was such a down-to-earth guy, and the gig was amazing. It was a really packed house and just really nerve-wracking sort of scene with him.
I can imagine, but if you listen to BBC Radio Norfolk now, Steve and I were just saying before we opened the microphones up how lovely it is to meet someone that you've always sort of loved and admired their work, and when you meet them, they're not just as good as you thought they were going to be, they're better. And he was just the best guest, and just a really nice man.
Yeah, really nice. Sort of surpassed my vision of him, I suppose. It really did go above and beyond.
Because he'll never get rid of us now, that's the thing. We're going to be his stalkers for life. You realise that, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
I hope he realised what he lets himself in for. So at the home front, let's get on to this project. The bust on the front, because you've got a little montage of photographs from way back when, from back in the day.
Yeah, they were taken during the 40s and the 50s by a keen photographer who grew up in Great Yarmouth called Jack Harrison. He very kindly gave me permission to use all of the pictures that were on his website, and so it is a very authentic cover, because a lot of the album is about Yarmouth during the World War II, so it's really nice to have the pictures to go alongside the stories.
What's your connection with Great Yarmouth and with Norfolk anyway, because that's not a local accent,
No, I'm from Newcastle. I moved down about 3 years ago, and that's because my band Knotted were based there, so I was travelling down a lot for practice and stuff. But going way back, my great-gran used to save up all year round for their week-long holiday in Great Yarmouth during probably the 50s and 60s, as a lot of people in England did, especially up north. So I always had a soft spot for Yarmouth. A lot of people, say what you will about it, but I think there's something inspiring about the place. It's a bit like a time trap. You go back and you can imagine it. That's what it was like during the 60s and 70s, during its heyday and stuff. It's looking a bit run down in places now, but there's something inspiring about it.
Being a Galston boy, so I'm a county borough of Yarmouth boy myself. I always found that the people of Yarmouth, and actually this is probably a Norfolk thing. There was a toughness about the people. I always found they I don't know, they'd do okay on a mountainside somewhere in a blizzard. Don't worry about that. We'll be fine, thanks. There's this sort
of get on with it.
There's sort of hardness about them, a resilience. I'm not sure whether that's been lost through the generations, but certainly post-war. I mean, I was born about 15 years after the Second World War. That resilience was certainly still there. Did you find that when you were doing your research?
I did a lot of research for it. Thankfully, a lady called Susie Lair, Time and Tide Museum, gave me permission to use the museum. They've got a lot of World War II and fully support the project. But a lot of the research did show that, and I try to get that across in a lot of the songs, the sort of togetherness and the fighting spirit against the Germans. We're not going to give up, we're not going to surrender, and no matter what you do to us, we're always going to get back up and dust ourselves off and get ready for the next battle. So yeah, that did come a lot in the research.
Right, now we'll hear a track from the CD, the Home Front, and also I noticed there's a track here called Mannering's Men, a tribute to Captain Mannering.
That's got to be a Dad's Army reference.
Well, we have to talk about the fact that there are plans afoot to make a new Dad's Army film. The last one was made back in the 70s, I believe. We'll talk a bit about that. Steve Farrell, stay with us. We'll hear a track from your CD in just a mo. Next to the very latest on the road.
This is what you were to. This is Alan Joyce, and it's more in half an hour.
We've got onions you can chop and fry. And just look over there as you walk on by. Carrots, sweets, and Brussels sprouts, kept well watered in case of a drought. Grow your own, we are the allotment kings. Planting it all, summer, winter, spring. Grow your own and do your part. Keep on digging, don't let England starve again. Jerry's trying to break us, but don't give in. Eat what we're given, no need for a bin. Let's make the most of each green space. Help the war effort by creating a good taste. Grow your own, we are the allotment kings. Planting it all, summer, winter, spring. Grow your own and do your part. Keep on digging, don't let England starve. Grow your own, we are the allotment kings. Planting it all, summer, winter, spring. Grow your own and do your part. Keep on digging, don't let England starve again.
It's called Allotment Kings, it's by Steve Farrell, and it's from the album The Home Front, and Steve is here in the studio. Not many songs, you've just said, not many songs with the word Brussels sprout, or Brussels sprouts in any of the lines there.
I was hoping that might be a first in the UK for a songwriter. Brussels sprouts and Swedes are mentioned.
Do we know if any other songs that are there with Brussels sprouts other than comedy songs, possibly?
I maybe need to look into that just to see if that could be a little claim to fame there, using the word Brussels sprouts in a song. That would be excellent.
And there was also, which sprang from the generation of, I think it was all started to fade out, the generation who were bringing up families during the Second World War, and that's just home cooking. It was still a very, very big thing then, and it sort of faded out as time went on.
It has, because if you look around now, these days, there's a lot of people just seem to be, it's all about, you know, a lot of work, careers. Back then you had, it might be seen as sexist now, but you had the wife stay at home who would deal with all the meals and everything like that and look after the children while the man went out to work. Whereas now, these days, everything's, you know, politically correct and everyone's equal, and so it is a bit lost on that.
What about someone saying, what about the man doing the cooking then? How do you feel about that? What are you like in the kitchen then?
I like to think I'm quite good, actually. I make a really good lasagna.
Oh, I did lasagna last night.
I really love making lasagna.
I don't want to blow my own trumpet, Steve, but I made it so when you actually cut it up and serve it, it doesn't sort of dribble everywhere. It held its shape.
Oh yes, it's got to keep its shape. I think I'm a bit of a perfectionist like that, and if I'm doing lasagna, it's got to be put on the plate neatly and perfectly.
And do you, being the perfect host, do you eat the bit that isn't the perfect one and give all the perfect ones to somebody else?
I do, actually, yeah. I think that's a polite thing. A lot of people do that.
So, what surprises did you uncover when you were, or things that were dear to your heart when you were uncovering and researching for the home front? What did you
There was a lot of things come up, and we were just chatting before while that song was playing about how you find out a lot of things from what people tell you rather than what you've learned maybe from a textbook at school or something like that. I think it was just things like, even I was in a barber shop one day in Yarmouth, old gentleman called PJ, and he told me that when I told him what the project was, that he was told by a policeman, a very good source, that during the war on Southtown Road, a doodlebug was actually sent from Germany and hit, but they kept it quiet because they didn't want people to panic, and it was taken away on a truck to London as soon as possible. And that was when the Germans obviously first started sending the planes without the pilots in, and they knew that if they released that as news, it would have created an uproar and a lot of panic.
Of course.
So things were kept quiet, and I found out stuff like how you see these photos and everyone always looks happy and that togetherness and stuff, but the reality was that when people had their houses bombed and everything like that, we weren't allowed to release pictures of people looking sad because it would show the Germans that we had low morale. And so I got a line in one of the songs about smile for the camera and say you're doing fine. We can't let Jerry see that we're on the breadline, and it was sort of that kind of stuff that we couldn't let them see that.
And of course, couple that with the fact that having your photograph taken was a bit of an event anyway, because there were so few cameras. I suppose that was it. Oh my God, someone's got a camera. So it was a big event. And I often wonder how people dealt with the fact that everything they had was suddenly destroyed. Like 4, 5, 6 houses in one block would just be blown away.
I just can't comprehend how that must have felt.
And how you pick yourself up from that. What happens? How does that work?
It's just a bit like starting from scratch, isn't it? Everything literally you own, and it's even family members sometimes just gone in an instant hit, and I just can't get my head around how people sort of did keep their morale high after that and just get on with everyday life. It's amazing.
Just this whole war thing, and people bombing each other and shooting each other, and it's just going on still today. Wherever you look, there's always a war somewhere. And I think the human race is insane. If ever. Fortunately, there's some nice parts about the human race, nice things, but if ever the aliens came down, they'd probably take one look at us and say, should we go somewhere else?
Let's go to Venus or something like that.
Yeah, a lot quieter.
Get away from that place.
And look, before we go on, and we're going to play, hopefully if the machine works properly, I'm having a few issues with the cell machine. This Old Town, we'll have that in a moment. Dad's Army, obviously you're going to be a huge fan of Dad's
Massive
Army.
fan, yeah. I had a good visit to the Dad's Army Museum. You've ever been there? Thetford, yeah.
Brilliant, isn't it?
Isn't it
loved
great? The hosts were really good, dressed up in costume and everything like that, and they've got Mannering's office and stuff.
I've been in there,
And then went down to have a look at the Arthur Law statue, which was unveiled on the riverfront.
Yes.
And that was quite an emotional event, because it's standing in front of a disused hotel which has really run down, which apparently all the cast used to stay at, and now it's just a derelict building, and there you've got this statue of Arthur Lowe in front of it, and it's a bit sort of got goosebumps. It's quite an emotional thing to see, really.
Yeah, because Thetford and the surrounding area, everyone from that area is very proud of the fact that such an icon of British comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
Was, you can put the flag in the map to say, yes, Dad's Army was here. It's wonderful. The museum is lovely, and the people who run it, it's absolutely charming. It's a wonderful piece of history to hang on to. New film about Dad's Army. Did you know the old, the original?
Yeah, I've got the original on DVD.
Yeah.
Along
You got
with
the box set?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I got it in a sale like yourself.
Yeah.
It's such a good bargain. I recommend that to anyone, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie sort of is a bit taking the best bits from a lot of the first, I think it was 2 series. So it'd be interesting to see how they would do a remake.
I don't know who's going to play who. All I can think of is possibly, even though he might still be a bit too young for it, Nigel Havers as Wilson. That's all I can. That's the only one to spring to mind. I don't know who'd play Mannering or
it's a tough one. That.
Yeah, Pike might be easier to cast than the older members.
Yeah, with him being the youngest member of the cast.
So I don't know. All I can think of is Nigel Havers for Wilson.
I did see the stage show at the Theatre Royal in Newcastle. It was really good, and that had Leslie Grantham in playing Walker. But all I could think of was that's not Walker, that's Dirty Den, and he's not a nice person. So
I can see Leslie Grantham playing Walker.
Yeah, he did it really well. It was really, really good.
Now look, we're going to wrap it up here for the time being. The Home Front on CD, it's available now, is it?
It is, yes, from my website, which is www.stevefarrelluk.com.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
Come back and see us again in the not too distant future. It says track 9 on there, on the machine. So with a little bit of luck and a following wind. Oh, there we are. Lovely. Thank you. See you.
Cheers, thanks.
This old town is burning, fires are glowing bright. We won't know the damage till the morning light. There is one less household for milkman to deliver. Each Anderson shelter, scared family shiver. This old town is smaller, so many rows are gone. Morale has hit rock bottom, beach and every bomb. But smile for the camera, say you're doing fine. We can't let Jerry see that we're on the breadline. So all our senses may have changed. We're full of fire that's coming down. But no matter what, we'll always stick together. That's always the way in this old town. This old town is hurting from each and every hit. Doodlebugs are coming, turn landmarks to grids. Loved ones, they will perish, innocent ones in this. They're never forgotten, but they're always missed. This old town is starving, rations don't go far. It's even short on petrol, cannot use the car. But despite everything, people join as one, helping out each other till the war's been won. So all our senses may have changed. We're full of fire stick together. That's always the way in this old town.
This Old Town. All about Yarmouth. There you go. Steve Farrell. Thank you very much for coming in. The CD, the album's called The Home Front. It's BBC Radio Norfolk. Matthew Gudgeon.